Hello friends, in the previous part we have discussed what negotiable instruments are. Now let us discuss what instruments come under negotiable instrument. So basic negotiable instruments what we deal in the business is, one is promissory note, second one is bill of exchange, and third one is check. Okay, first one let us discuss now. See the promissory note. A promissory note is basically a note of promise given by the debtor to the creditor. Here the debtor is the person who has borrowed money for some reason. Reason can be anything. Okay, so one part. And second thing is, a creditor is the person who has funded money or who has given the money to the respective debtor. Okay, here debtor promises the creditor that he is going to pay back the amount whatever has been borrowed earlier for whatsoever reason. One part. So this is normally called as promissory note. Promissory note is defined under section 4 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. So under section 4 the promissory note is defined. Now what are the terms and conditions which should be there in a valid promissory note? The first one is, promissory note gives only the promise, and promisor cannot give any choice or chance of normally imposing the conditions on the creditor. So it is a promise made, not unconditional order. It is a promise given by the respective promisor of the borrower. Secondly, this promissory note should be between the two parties. The two parties, whoever are there, they must be the part of the instrument, they must be the part of the trade, or they must be the part of the contract. Okay, so in such case, since it is a promise given, there must be a valid date for that, there must be a valid period given for that, time period given, and these time periods should be discussed well in advance before a promissory note is prepared and submitted. Promissory note should be made in a legal valid paper, valid bond paper or a stamp paper. Today e-stamping is available. Easily it must be in the e-stamping paper itself, one part, and it must be made within normally with the legal seal and signature of the respective parties. Without seal and signature, promissory note can be invalid. Promissory note can also be made increase the validity upon mutual consent of the parties. Once the respective period of the negotiable instrument is over, the parties are free to do as they like. So first thing is, they can also see that the contract period is extended, or they can also the debtors can also request the respective creditor to increase the time period because of normally unforeseen reasons or because of some personal reasons. So in such case, on agreement by the creditor, normally there is a scope of validity, or there is a scope of increase in the validity period. That is one thing. And second important action what a creditor can take against a debtor is, he can file a suit against the debtor for not honoring the promissory note. So whatever is the recovery charges, that can be initiated by stepping into the court through legal means or through court means. You can see that the respective compromise amount whatever is received by the debtor, it includes legal charges, advocate fees, court charges, and then whatever is the penalty for not paying on time. These things are possible. So these things are possible under promissory note. Okay, this is something about promissory note. Second instrument let us discuss now. It is called as bills of exchange. In the bills of exchange, normally we can find out there are three parties here. First one is called as the drawer, second is drawee, and third one is payee. Drawer is the person who is normally the beneficiary of this particular bill of exchange. Drawee is the person whoever is given the instruction for the making the payment or who issues the bill of exchange. The payee is the particular person whoever makes the payment. Generally it is a bank. Okay, so in the case of bill of exchange, normally we can find that, whereas in the case of promissory note we came across normally the unconditional promise. Here it is unconditional order. The difference goes like this. In the case of promissory note, it is a promise made, whereas in the case of bill of exchange, it is an unconditional order given. Here the party is not a debtor. He has got sufficient funds in the bank account, he has got sufficient amount of the funds, but what he is doing is, he is giving an unconditional order to honor this instrument on the date in which normally whatever is mentioned in the bill of exchange. For example, to make it more clear, suppose if the bill of exchange is between Girish and Suresh. If Suresh is the beneficiary, the Suresh has to make sure that normally at the time of preparation of the bill of exchange, the stipulated date is clearly mentioned. If the bill is made on 1st of February and due date is on 15th of February, so on 15th of February, normally as per the bill of exchange, the payment has to be given to the Suresh there. This is how normally it works. In the case of banks also we can find that they will see that on due date it has to be honored. One part is there. With interest or without interest, it is as per the conditions of the deal. That is there. So these things happen in the case of normally the bills of exchange. So bills of exchange has got its validity in the local level, national level, and also in international level transactions. So most of the time normally the importers, the exporters normally again have to rely on the payments made by the importer. They can ask the importer to draw a bill of exchange in the name of exporter, so as to assure that timely payments come. It can be either in cash mode or sometimes in letter of credit mode, or suppose sometimes if the payment is made by the means of the banks, normally they can also go for bank guarantee schemes also. So what is made clear is normally again the honoring of bill of exchange is made clear. So any point in time the parties should make sure that bill of exchange is honored on time. The party whoever is normally remitting the money is to remit it on time, make sure that there are sufficient funds in the account, and the other party, receiving party, has to make sure that the funds will come on a stipulated date on honoring of the bill of exchange. So transaction is legal, transaction is clear, and transaction can also be recorded in the books of accounts also. Transactions can be audited and transactions can also be legally tendered. This carries more validity in the court of law also. So this makes the respective bill of exchange very clear. One part. Next, benefits of this bill of exchange. The benefit of bill of exchange is, first thing is, the party whoever is in receipt of the payment is made clear that on that particular date, whatever is mentioned in the bill of exchange, you will receive the payment. So there is no scope for any misconception. Rumors can be spread saying that normally the party whoever is supposed to make the payment for you, he is a fraud, or the particular party whoever is you are doing the business, he is a blacklisted business. No such scope at all. So definitely on that due date you will receive the payment. First benefit. Second important benefit is normally again it helps in making the trade process smoother. Any point in time normally your trade activity whatever is there, it is getting smoother and smoother. Why? Because one side you have got an instrument, you are rest assured about the payment. So what you have to analyze here is whether you are sending him normally the respective products as per his specifications, like your terms associated with the packing, marking, labeling, and then normally whatever is normally to be written on the labels. So whether it's made sure or not, that you have to make sure. That is one thing. Okay, and the third important benefit of this bill of exchange is normally again, so bill of exchange carries legal validity and also financial validity. So in such case normally this is easy for you to normally to record it in the books of accounts. Even we can come to know how much sales is made by using bill of exchange. And it's also easy for us normally at the time of auditing, normally again has to see that on what mode the payment is received, and then how much is received, how much is traded with the particular party. Particular party's transaction can be traced, a record can be maintained, and we can also see that normally the better relationship is built in the business between the respective parties. Okay, this is about something about bill of exchange. Now third instrument of bill, say a negotiable instrument, check. So check is most often discussed today. So check is normally issued in the case of business related transaction. Basically what this check is, check is normally an instrument issued by the respective party, which is normally again made by the bank itself, and normally again which carries validity in the books of accounts, which carries validity in normally again making the payments, which also carries the validity in the court of law also. Okay, so one part this you have to understand. So the check is normally an instrument for making the payments. Okay, it is a mode of making the payment to the respective parties. So what comes in the check normally? In the case of the check normally, party's name has to be specifically written, amount has to be written both in words as well as in figures, and then it should be authorized, it should be signed by the concerned party, whoever is the account holder. Account holder has to sign on the check, one part, and then date of the check should be very important. That should be mentioned very clearly on the top of the check, wherever there is a date column. One part. Next, validity of the check. According to Negotiable Instrument Act, a check once is issued, normally again it is valid for a period of 90 days from the date of issue. 90 days is the validity period for a check. Earlier it was 180 days. Now we can find it 2 years before normally they have made the validity as 90 days. 90 days is the period in which normally the check can be presented for the payment, one part. And then normally again what are the things, what are the formalities that should be included in the check, one part. So the formalities to be included in the check is normally party's name should be clear, second thing, and normally before issuing the check normally the party should confirm, that is issuer has to confirm that there are sufficient funds in the bank, because if there are insufficient funds, there is a chance that check may be dishonored, returned back, bounced. So in such case, make sure that normally before you issue the check, normally there are enough funds in the bank account, one part. And third thing is normally make sure that normally the issuing person normally is confirmed about the payment, confirmed about the amount, confirmed about for what purpose the check is issued to him, what purpose the payment is made. That is more important. And next thing is normally the respective check, honor of the check. A check can be honored under the following conditions. First one is when all formalities are clear and complete. What are the formalities? The first formality is name should be clear, name of the payer should be clear. That is, whoever name is mentioned in the check, that should be clear. Second is amount, whatever is mentioned in words and figures should be clear. Signature must not mismatch, and then normally then there must be sufficient balance in the bank account. Then a check is honored. This is what is required as per normally Negotiable Instrument Act. Next, dishonor of the check. Dishonor of the check is possible under section 138 of Indian Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. Section 138 is applied. So the dishonor of the check can be for the following reasons. First one is when there is insufficient balance in the account. When bank balance doesn't have sufficient balance, there is a chance that normally the check can be dishonored. One thing. Second thing is formality is not clear and complete. What are the formalities normally? The first thing is if there is a mismatch in the name, whatever has been mentioned in the bank documents, bank scanned documents, or in the bank system, whatever is recorded, and the name mentioned in the check normally. Suppose if it's mismatches, for example, Nityanand is written in the check, but in the bank record it is written as Nityanand Shetty. So in such case, normally there is a chance that normally the check can be dishonored because of name mismatch. Or suppose if there is a mismatch in the amount, whatever has been mentioned. So as normally students do in the exam, debit side you write 500 rupees, credit side it will become 50,000 rupees. So ultimately, in the examination, fine. There you can do such kind of mistakes. But in the case of check, normally again, if the amount column is written with 30,000 rupees, and in the case of the column where you are supposed to write in words, there you write it as 3 lakhs or 5 lakhs or 7 lakhs. Ultimately, there is a mismatch is created. So totally when there is a mismatch, a check can be dishonored. And then normally, suppose if there is a signature mismatch. So many people have got a habit of writing initials on one side. In the bank, they write normally the full signature. But suppose by forgetfulness or suppose by unintentional errors, normally we can find that normally there is a chance of mismatch of the signature. Or if the signature is put in vernacular languages. Vernacular language means any language used other than the standard language. Okay, other than English. Suppose if the signature is made. So in such case, normally again, these languages are not acceptable generally by bank KYC rules. So in such case, normally again, we can find that there is a chance of dishonor of the check. Next, what are the consequences of this dishonor of the check now again? So the legal consequence of the dishonor of the check is, first thing is normally again, the party has got two options. First one is informing the party whoever has issued the check that your check has got dishonored because of the following reasons, whatever is there discussed earlier. So in such case, normally you can say that normally you make the repayment within the set date, whatever it is. So it is between the two parties. It can set out in a mutual compromise. Second option is normally not to intimate. Straight away you can approach an advocate or directly go to the court and approach the court and see that normally again a legal notice is issued in the name of the party whoever has issued the check. If the legal notice come, ultimately what happens is normally again there will be a 15 days time given in the legal notice saying that the party has to make the payment within the stipulated period of time with interest, with advocate charges. Okay, there is a legal notice charges, whatever is there. This is one thing which can happen. Second consequence is normally if he dishonors still or if he doesn't make a payment even after 15 days, legally we can proceed in the court against him, directly move to the court, get the summons from the court, normally again make him to appear before the judge, and then on series of hearing, normally again we can penalize him under section 138. Under section 138, what can happen is two things. One is he has to pay the amount with the interest, with all charges, whatever is there. So he is punishable by all such charges, and along with that imprisonment of 2 years is also possible. So these things are possible under section 138. So these are the consequences for normally dishonor of the check in brief. Okay, so to sum up, normally I have discussed three important instruments coming under negotiable instrument. First one is promissory note, where the promise is made by the debtor to the creditor saying that he is promising to pay the money on time. Second instrument what I have discussed is about bill of exchange between the two parties. Here what is happening is normally the The party whoever is issuing the bill of exchange is giving an unconditional order to his bank saying that you pay the respective party whoever is normally whose name is mentioned in this bill of exchange, okay, without any conditions. That is normally something about bill of exchange. Third instrument what we have discussed is about check. Okay, check is a normal instrument which is used in the business transactions for making the payment there. So conditions for honor and conditions for dishonor of the check and legal consequence has been discussed. Thank you very much.